Hey, what's up, fellas? I'm Lester's female fan, Steve is here, back with the Nokia 5.3 from last year. Before we get to all that, thank you so much to all the new subscribers. Up over 4,200 as of the taping of this video. If you're loving all the tech, both new, old, and in between, mostly new, go ahead and give that subscribe button a tussle. It certainly means a lot to me. Before we get to all that stuff, I wish I could be one of those cool reviewers like those from the UK and Europe, because it's Nokia or something like that. Instead, I have to say Nokia, or I say Nokia, or Nokia, like I hate my Sorrento or something. But either way, we're talking about the 5.3, and a lot in the lineup. There's some 3 series phones. The 5.4 didn't get it either. There's some 1 series phones that has not seen an update to Android 11. At the beginning of the year, I allowed it. I didn't like it, but I was okay with it because there were a bunch of manufacturers that were struggling with the battery life and the performance releasing their Android 11 updates. But then they started to fall like dominoes. Everybody, OnePlus had theirs out. MIUI came out with theirs down to some of their lower devices. We're going to be going over the Note 9 Pro, the Redmi Note 9 Pro, a little bit later in the week. Motorola was the last one. They released their Android 11 update for their series of phones on down the line, the ones that were promised upgrades. And then that left Nokia. And specifically, for today's purposes, the 5.3. They said the end of Q2 or Q2 2021. Well, that's past. That's about 3 weeks past at this point, and no Android 11 update. I understand it's a challenge. Android 11 had a lot of issues, but there should have been some built-in advantages. Basically having it be an Android One device. So you'd think it would be a relatively easy transition from Android 11 stock to what they release, since it's basically stock, but it hasn't happened. The security updates, not been as frequent. Android 10, this is running on the May security patch, and we're here in July. An Android One device, especially one that had a bunch of updates promised, you would figure it would be a little bit more up to date with those. So I'm thinking, all the other manufacturers came out with their Android 11 updates for those devices down their product line. Perhaps there's something else going on at Nokia, and there is, unfortunately. I was reading a few articles. There's one I'll reference. I wish I could have the link to it, but there was so many that I read. I'm just going to bring all the information together here. But you could see disapproving Porg is back because Nokia is not doing what they promised. So there's problems at the company itself, which disappoints me. So HMD Global is having issues. They're thinking about selling off the brand again, or selling off the cell phone division again, and all the rest of it. And I understand that back in the day, Nokia kind of fell victim to circumstance. Okay, Windows Phone, Microsoft, all that stuff going on. But trust me, they've had their own self-inflicted problems over the years. And this would be another one. Just as they get back to relevance, just as they claw their way back in with some decent devices, and we'll talk about this one in a moment, because I think the hardware is pretty darn good for what they offer, especially at the price point this one was at. Just as they get back there, they're gonna shoot themselves in the foot again. And it's just, either you're in or you're out. You're dedicated to making the hardware and making a run at it as a sophisticated, mature cell phone company that you've been around for 30 years, however long you've been around, probably longer than that, making phones. Either you're going to stick with that heritage, you're going to make the devices and make a legitimate run at it, or you're out. And I don't want to hear from you ever again. Because this in and out stuff just isn't going to cut it. And it's frustrating for an incredibly loyal user base. When you talk to people that have 5.3s and purchase some of the 1 series and 3 series devices, these are people going back all the way to the Lumia, the Windows Phone, and they're still sticking with this company. And to just absolutely disappoint those people again is mind-boggling. The other thing is problems with Android One, which is not necessarily their fault, but we're going to get back to Nokia in a second because they're not off the hook with this either. Android One is having slower and slower releases. Not a lot of new devices coming out that have Android One on it. And the one article that I read that really made the most sense was, they said when Android One started in 2014, basically Google was competing with the Nexus. Competing with releasing or partnering with companies like to release the Nexus and then their own Pixel devices, so they were up in the flagship territory. They didn't really care what happened down in the mid-tier and budget range. It didn't affect them. So offering a Pixel Lite alternative to these devices in the $200, $300, $400 range didn't affect them anything. It didn't cannibalize their sales, no problem. But now, they actually release and have devices in that range, and that creates a problem. Why would you go ahead and create competitors that can use roughly stock Android, so you take away a lot of your competitive advantage, and they get to go with the hardware that they want? If you take, and I'm going to go ahead and show you this one here. If you compare the Pixel 4a, even take the 5G one, you take the Pixel 4a at the regular one, we'll start with that, at $350, okay? Then you look at something like this that we just reviewed. The Moto G Stylus 5G. $400 price tag. You pick up 5G. You get 256 gigs of storage. You get a bigger screen. And you get a lot of the Google features. You get a more versatile camera system. I'm not going to say better because you don't get the computational photography. But you get a lot of different lenses. A different feel to the device. You get the stylus. You get the pen for $400. And a pretty stock Android experience. So why would you pick the Pixel 4a over something like this for the same price? So it makes sense that they might start weaning off of or shutting down the Android One program. But if you're Nokia, you got to come out and say that. You got to come out and say, hey, listen, they're starting to shut this down. We're going to transition to our own distribution, our own skinning of Android, and then release that. You got to do something. Because when I bought this device, and I did the review of it, one of the things that I was so positive on, and they were one of the first companies to do that, right on the box, they had it. 2 years, 2 major upgrades of Android. Big, bold, nice sticker right on the box. And you haven't even come out with one yet. Not even on the 5.4. And I thought the 5.4 was a goofy hardware choice. We have a video of that as well on the channel. I say, I'm skipping that, because I didn't think it was a massive upgrade unless you wanted that dark eggplant color that they offered. But I didn't think you were getting a whole lot more. And it shows in that they don't even release Android 11 for that. You can't say that you're going to do the 2 major updates and then not do it. To break the trust like that, that'll be it for Nokia. I will never buy another Nokia device if they don't come through with that promise. Because that's just, thanks to them and other companies pushing that envelope of support, that just became a selling point. That just became a selling point and a competition and an advantage where they're like, hey, wait, we're at OnePlus is saying, hey, we're doing 4 years of updates. And Samsung's like, oh, we're doing 3 year or whatever it is. And then Google, maybe this year's rumored to be 5 years of updates. That's just becoming a competition point and a selling point. And you're going to break the trust like that and make it so people could just be like, well, the phone doesn't sell that well. Or if we're not doing well as a company, you know what? That doesn't matter. We're not going to do anything. We're not going to provide the updates that we said. That would be absolutely brutal. That's a terrible precedent to set. Awful. And I will be done with Nokia forever. I don't care if they come up with the first teleporting phone. Not interested. I think a lot of you would be disappointed as well because there's plenty to like with this device. I understand plastic, Gorilla Glass on the front, relatively nice design, big screen, HD. You had the little notification light that was actually in the power button. You had the headphone jack. This is the version I had. A relatively modern design. Fingerprint sensor on the back. Camera was decent for the money. You were talking $230. You were getting 6 gigs of RAM in this one, the one that I have here, the desert sand looking one. Really cool, light, great in the hand, awesome performance on this one. For the money, Snapdragon 665. No issues there, though. Was able to do a little bit of gaming. Everything you want to do. Scrolling was smooth. Screen was decent. So the hardware was there. But the software support has to be there as well. And it'd be terribly disappointing if they let us down like that. So let me know if you have one of these. I know a lot of you do. And a lot of you would be disappointed if they didn't upgrade it. It's disappointing that the security updates have not been there every month. But if you've made it this far, like, comment, subscribe, all that fun stuff. Until next time, Disapproving Porg says he disapproves of the lack of updates on the Nokia 5.3. Have that Steve-alicious day.